Yo, blow me a
Yeah, just
dub,
start rolling, start rolling.
Yeah.
Turn the music off though.
Yep.
Damn.
I know.
I was almost in party mode. You triple cupped? Oh,
Double
okay.
cup, double
Wow,
cup,
I was say, damn.
Double cup.
Yes.
What
Not,
you drink?
we're not going south, all the way south of the border.
That wasn't even south. That
We're going
would have been
south.
like next. That would have been another.
That's south of the
planet.
Mason-Dixon line.
That was
South
like
of the Mason-Dixon.
Drano.
It's a good angle, right, BA?
Trey.
Good.
That's a nice haircut.
Try, man. Only the best. All right. I wish we could keep this music on, but the monetization is a real mother lover, like, for real. You know, we'll get to that point though, where we can just play whatever we want and just say, oh, you know what? Like
Get people call
have
my
Warner
people.
UMG send me a bill. That'd be fine. We'll have. Say it on me, man.
All right, bet. All right, so we got a start bench cut. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For people at home, you could play too. Think about it. So we're going to go start bench cut. We're going to go your purpose, your integrity, or your wisdom. Start bench cut. Let's go. What you got to say?
Start bench cut. My integrity, my wisdom.
And your purpose.
Oh, my purpose.
What you were created for.
Wow.
Yeah, see, I told you he's horrible.
That's a tough one. I feel like your rep is what gets there before you. So it's like a man lives by his reputation. Wisdom is something that you never too old or young to learn. So if I cut the wisdom, I can always gain that back. You know, how many times do you learn things across the journey of your life? So I could probably cut wisdom because my brain is a learning computer. I can learn the wisdom all over again. The integrity, I would probably start because, again, like, I got to be able to look myself in the mirror and like what I see. And even if I don't, I know that somewhere there's some good parts that I can build on. And the bench would probably be, you know, obviously the purpose. Because, again, like, you know, if you can always find your like, life is such a journey. Life is so cyclical, man. Like, you could find different purposes in life, you know, and, you know, you shoot for the moon and, you know, aim for the stars and shoot for the moon. You know, you never tie yourself to one thing. So I hope that answered your question as dramatically as you asked the question. So. Oh, so we're doing this like boom, boom, boom,
Choice,
boom,
what you
boom.
got to say, man? You know, Poke. I mean, he gave a good answer. What you got to say? Your purpose, your integrity, and your wisdom.
So the funny thing is, I was actually gonna put those three in order the same way he did. I mean, just to add to that, I would start my integrity because I think that if you don't have that, it's kind of hard to really move in life, you know. And I think that no one wants to be looking over their shoulders or ask themselves, like, you know, do I even, you know, feel happy just being able to go out every day with no integrity? Like, I think that has to eat at you, you know. As much as people that probably make millions of dollars that take advantage of people and do shady business, I don't think there's any chance that they don't think about it consciously, you know. And for me, you know, that's always been the biggest part of why I'm at where I'm at, you know, in life, in terms of career, relationships with friends, family, you know, like, that just has to be at the center of your foundation. And I'd probably put my purpose second. I don't know, it's mixed between the purpose and the wisdom. But because I feel like with me, I never felt purpose in myself and have really been sold on focusing on my own purpose. For some odd reason, like, even when I was younger, I was always thinking about serving others, you know, seeing the best come out of other people. And even now, I've resulted in doing the same thing, right? Like, I should have been prioritizing being an artist or, you know, being an entertainer for myself, but that's behind, you know, it's just not something that I'm as focused on even now. So I would say definitely the wisdom, because I've gotten more joy out of building others around me. So yeah, probably yeah. I would put wisdom second, and then cut. I'll cut purpose, yeah. Because I think that is my purpose, to be honest. I think my purpose is really to build others around me, you know, and it just complements, you know, as far as the wisdom that I can gain with the integrity. I think you find purpose in that. So, yeah.
I don't dislike that.
Don't ask me the same thing. See, just kill
Now
her.
I gotta ask you.
Well, you're not gonna ask the Sheik.
Yo,
Got to.
yeah, what you got to say? I'm not even on the mic.
All right, start bench cut. I am starting wisdom. I'm benching integrity, and I'm cutting purpose. And I'm picking that order because I'm gonna start from the back end, pause, and work my way to the number one thing. I'm cutting purpose because, to me, the average person, and my thing is very simplified. The average person barely knows their purpose. You feel me? Like, purpose is a hard thing to find. Like, when you find what you're really, really, really put here for in your mind, you have to have a lot of experiences. You have to be a person that's willing to try everything. And if you have a person that's not willing to step out of their comfort zone, then you're probably not speaking to a person that found their purpose. You have to be extreme comfort zone push away from her. I'm making that word up. Like, you got to push away from the comfort zone in order to find your purpose. And most people cannot do that. They can't do it. So I'm going to cut the purpose, right? And then I'm going to bench my integrity. And the reason I'm going to bench my integrity, we're going to jump right to number one, is because of my wisdom. Because wisdom is an experience, and wisdom is what brings me my integrity. The things that I've went through in my life, from being a baby to being a young man, a child, all the way into an adult, to being a father, to being a grandfather, my integrity constantly grows and develops through my wisdom. And you have to have wisdom in order to find purpose, because wisdom is an experience. Wisdom, if a person is wise, it's because of the experiences that they had, whether they were experiences they lived through themselves or they lived vicariously by watching somebody else's experience. So it takes wisdom to even find your purpose and for your integrity to be what it is. So I'm starting with my wisdom. I'm benching my integrity because that means it's still there. I'm not leading with it, but it's there. And I'm cutting my purpose because I'll find it once I get out of my comfort zone.
Are you okay with never finding it?
I don't think that's something that you have to be okay with or not okay with. Like, I think that not finding it just means you didn't do enough. You gotta, you know, like, for instance, let's say, somebody be like, oh, would you ever skydive? I'll never do that shit. I ain't beat. But at the same time, if I did it one time, I might find out that I love it so much that I might start studying it and become a person that owns a skydiving business and become a millionaire. But I'll never find that out. I'll never find it out. You know what I mean? So it's like getting out of the comfort zone. The people that we usually think are the craziest people usually get to where they're going because they try the majority of the things that come across their mind at least once. And that's supreme wisdom.
Yeah. You know what I like about that? That's a great representation of life, because you have three different people from three different walks of life, three different ages, three excellent points of view, all valid because it's all put in perspective. One thing that's paramount here, and I'm going to use that word, paramount, is perspective. Perspective of our lives up to this point shaped our answers, and honest answers is the best policy.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing, you know, like my dad once said, like, why lie when the truth will do? Like, those are truthful answers, so it will always do. And you know, you could enter. I could just be like, you know what, this is my show, I'm changing my answer, but I'm sticking firm with my answer because that's been my experience and that's what I feel in my heart. Just like Choi said what he said, and the Sheik had an excellent viewpoint, but that's the beauty of life. Like, if three people look at an abstract painting, you'll get three different answers. Or you look at a Rorschach, you show them an ink blot test, we'll say three different things, because whatever we perceive it to be in our perception dictates our brain. So that was, you know, we'll have to figure out a way to shoehorn this in the beginning. It'll be the longest intro in Ransom Report history, but I think we'll
This is it.
I think we should leave that in because it's a great exercise in the human perspective. So thank you, Felipe. Yeah, I appreciate you, man. We'll use that.
It's Mister. You know you gotta tune in, right? Hey, we just soldiers on a mission. Turn the volume up, tune in to the vision. Spitting every episode, ain't no skipping. Put your mans on, he ain't hear it, then he tripping. And you know you gotta listen to the Ransom Report. Hey, it's the Ransom Report. Said you know you gotta listen to the Ransom Report. It's the Ransom Report. Now what you thought? Yeah.
The Ransom Report, powered by What's the Movement, the podcast that provides you with intellectual entertainment. As always, joined by the Sheik, I am Mr. Ransom. Sheik,
Was pretty good.
as always, peace be unto you, sir.
Yes, sir. We're gonna lead with peace and we're gonna close with peace. Peace. What's good?
I'm well, sir. Happy to be here with you as we continue on this journey.
Always and likewise.
Yeah, time is flying. Today we have here Choice.
Appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome to the Ransom Report.
Happy to be here.
Yeah,
for
on
real.
behalf of the Sheik and I, welcome.
Thank you.
Can I say something? I know you're a good guy. As soon as you walked in, the first thing you said, you apologized for being late. That's a good. You didn't have to, but you did.
Appreciate that,
Yeah,
for real.
yeah, absolutely. And if you don't mind my saying so, you have a singer's voice.
Yeah.
You have a singer's speaking voice.
Yeah, I get
You
that
know,
a lot.
you get that a lot.
Yeah.
Usually, you can tell, like when if you never saw Mike Tyson's face, and you heard him in your ear, you might not think that he was once, and to a lot of people still is the baddest man on the planet. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
But to hear you talk, if I never saw you, I'd be like, what was he, a singer? I'm like, what he sings? Like,
What are you singing?
I'm like, what is he, a singer?
To be fair, I wasn't always a singer though. That's the crazy thing. I was a drummer. Band kid.
In the church?
Yeah, in the church. Yeah, that was. I was always the drummer. I didn't start singing until high school.
You never knew you could sing until high school? You never sang in the shower? You never sang to a girl or something? Or like, let me do this whole...
Nah, I was always focused on football, basketball, track, and playing the drums.
You never sang your favorite song in the shower?
No, I didn't start singing until 8th grade is when I actually thought about it, and it was when I would see Kenny and them rehearsing all the time. And at that time when I did try to sing, everyone was saying like, "Bro, you sound like a girl, bro. You don't even sound like a guy when you singing." Like they would always. Still to this day now they say I sound like a singer from the '90s.
That's a high compliment, man.
Yeah.
90s R&B over everything.
And I just never found my voice at that time. I wasn't getting singing lessons. I wasn't prioritizing being a singer. And then Party Michael, shout out to him, Aaron Russian.
Mm-hmm.
He was the first guy to get me in the studio and really start working on my voice, that's when I started really trying to take it serious. And that's when I found my voice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, life, like I said on the intro, life is like walking through like a dense forest.
Mm-hmm.
There's many pathways and twists and turns, but the way you end out of the forest is the way you were supposed to.
Yeah.
You do know the Sheik is very musically inclined.
Yeah.
You knew that? Okay.
Yeah.
You knew that.
Yeah. Yeah, the Sheik is very, the Sheik.
One thing about Long Branch though, they'll tell you about, they'll tell you about others that came up before you.
Sure.
So
We have
I
a
was always
rich-
put on to that.
We have a rich musical history. I actually,
yeah.
I made beats too. As a matter of fact, after this, I'll damn, I can't even use the term because of R. Kelly. I was gonna say, I'll break y'all off with a little preview of the remix, but I can't use that. Like, I can't use it. Like, and that's just the terrible part about it. But
Nah, man, you can use.
You can use it. You can.
No.
In this context, you can.
context is key,
Yeah.
and it's interesting to see so many people say that they started music in the church. So does gospel still play a big part of your life? Gospel music?
Nah. I'm not gonna lie, it hasn't in a while. I think that's why gospel musicians are so sought after. Like, in Berkeley, it's overwhelmingly musicians that come from the church that have no ability to read music, but they can play their behinds off. For me,
They can't read music, but they can play instruments.
yes, and there's this natural ability to understand notes and how to blend vocals. Like, again, I wasn't a singer at the time, but I knew like the synchronicities between different tones and how to blend them and how to arrange them.
Do you when Kanye said like he like looks at sound as colors?
Oh yeah,
Is it kind of similar to something like
I
that?
definitely see colors when definitely. And it's crazy because I mean, my high school band teacher, I don't know why he always assumed that I couldn't read music.
Was it
even though
Mr. Clark?
Yeah, and I always read music even when I was in elementary because I had to take music classes to read, and it's the reason why I even got into UArts at the time for composition. I was literally studying composing. That's what I got accepted to the school for, and music business. And gospel music, it played the biggest factor in it because I understood singability. I understood when a drummer is overplaying and they're not in sync with the keyboard player or the sax player. Like it's just certain things that you just know when it comes to gospel music.
Certain things you feel.
Yeah, it's like this anointings.
You said singability or singability?
Singability.
What does that mean?
Making music that people can sing along to and not get lost in it where there's a disconnect. Because gospel music has like a very powerful way of connecting people. Even you could have never been in a church, but when you go in and you listen to that music, it just does something to you. Like I've had friends who've never grew up in church, but when they go one day, they're like, yo, I gotta tell you my experience. Like it's just something about the music that just made me like just fall in love with it,
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I think that's what.
And it's cool because now even when I'm like writing for other artists or I'm putting together harmonies, bridges, I still find myself using that, that foundation that I got from growing up in church, which is cool.
So you took that out of gospel.
I took that out of gospel and then I blended it with everything else that I was learning, which was jazz, symphonic band, bossa nova, all the different styles that they had us learning in school, and just blended it. And outside of that, I was playing in rock bands, metal bands with my friends, and jazz band. I just got I was happy and lucky enough to be raised in Long Branch, to be exposed to so many different styles and sounds of music, and especially growing up in Long Branch, under housing authority, I'm growing up in what you call the hood, but rap was the biggest thing to that. So I'm growing up listening to Dipset on top of that. DMX is my favorite rapper at the time.
Oh, very nice.
Mobb Deep, I'm listening to
Let's
Mobb
go.
Deep. You know what I'm saying? So it's like Onyx.
Long Branch is so rich when it comes to music.
It
Like
is.
the three of us sitting here, so years ago, I knew that the Sheik made beats because a guy that I know, his name is Coastin. He makes beats, and he had the little MPC 60. This is like ancient history now.
Mm-hmm.
This is the time before time, and he was. What didn't you understand? Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
First of all, what is that?
I think it's North Korea listening to us, Sheik.
That's my phone.
Your phone might be-
Man.
Sheik.
Let's go. So go ahead.
Sheik.
Yeah.
Oh no. Remember in the Matrix when the phone went off without him even.
That's new. I don't even know her.
You got a voice. You got a voice similar to Morpheus, so you could be Morpheus. Like,
I'm just saying.
you could be the Long Branch Morpheus.
Let's go. Go ahead. Keep going.
When I was in school, one of my teachers told me something. He said there's only two universal languages in the world unequivocally: math and music.
Music, yeah.
Because no matter what, people can communicate. You could probably communicate with aliens through binary ones and zeros, zeros and ones, and you communicate through music. They sent Voyager and Voyager 2 out into the solar system. They put music all over the records because that's what they wanted as a representation of Earth, amongst other things. So the ties that bind us,
That's fire.
think about that for a second. They wanted that to be, hey,
I never knew that.
yeah, Voyager 1 and Voyager 2, they put all sorts of like great, like Beethoven, they put Ray Charles on there. They put great, like,
They ain't had me on it.
well, it came out in they shot it out of space in like 1977, I think. So you were still early in the development
I
stages.
had an album when I was 3.
What was the album called?
Well, I'm not on there.
Why I'm not on there? It's the name of the album.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, Sheik, when did you develop your voice? Like, when did you start sounding like Morpheus?
Well, see, unlike
Like, he had
Chris,
his voice from day one.
I was gonna say okay, then just like him, because I was going. You asked him when he started singing, and I was gonna say I started like singing at a very young age because I always wanted to replicate everything. I was sang before I rapped. You know what I'm saying?
Who were some of the singers that you liked back in those days?
Well,
I didn't know that.
If I go back to like the first singer that I just was like, ooh, was Michael Jackson. If the first person that I could think about in my head, the first person that I taped to my wall
Yeah.
as a child was Michael Jackson.
Mine was Usher. Mine was Usher, but I wasn't trying to sing. No, I was just like, dang, this dude's fire. But
See, I was always into music though. I had a Fisher Price record player.
oh dang,
I had a record player, and I used to be in my room.
Wait a minute. Like the one from E.T.?
Yo, it was tan. The record player was tan. It had like,
And it was plastic, right?
Word is bond. It had hard plastic tan speakers. It was
I think I had.
that's crazy.
I think I
Fisher
had.
Price.
Yeah, that's
They played
crazy.
real records.
If you have that right,
And you know what my favorite record was that I listened to all the time? It was a Richard Pryor comedy on an album.
oh wow,
That's fire.
That album when he was talking, I can't remember the name of the show was, but I remember him acting like he was talking Chinese on the album.
Was that the one? I'd have to. Is the one where he had the red suit on, live on the Sunset Strip?
I don't know. I only heard
Okay,
it. I never
I'm
seen
gonna have
it.
to. I'm gonna have to listen to that one. But I didn't.
Google what
When-
comedy set did Richard Pryor do speaking Chinese?
I can't wait to hear
I remember him talking Chinese all the way through, and the only thing he said in English was "Be cool, be cool." That was it.
I'm trying to think of like my first, like, when I was a kid, my dad, he would have company over, like him and my mom, and the big album at the time was the Bad album, and the song Liberian Girl. My dad loved that song.
What?
So I remember being like, it came out in '88, so, and
That was
yeah, bro, Sheik, let me tell you, and that goes to show you, like, music is supposed to enact a feeling from you,
yeah.
good or bad, and I feel like artists draw on emotion. There's a poet, he's a Spanish poet. His name is Machado, and he was in love with a woman, beautiful woman, and unfortunately she passed away. And after she passed away, the poems that he wrote were hailed as these masterpieces around the world, and everyone would ask him, like, how could you say things with such wisdom and passion and beauty? And he said, unfortunately, I had to go through that in order to become a great artist.
True.
Is there a moment for you that was kind of like that? Like that
Oh yeah.
that you struggled through that made you a better artist?
Yeah, so the first, I was a freshman living in Philly and working on music, and there was a beat that my boys had made, and it was called Letter for Thoughts. So I had this idea of like, okay, I'm gonna make this about like my life and the relationship that I had with my dad. Well, basically by not having a relationship with my dad, and that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. And so I put a lot of like tears and pain into it, because I didn't have a father for all my life. He actually just came home too. I don't know if you knew that. Yeah,
Oh, you know, I know.
yeah, he came home. And
Okay, so he was not here in terms of, he wasn't absentee, he was absent.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
I think he only came home probably like twice out of the times that I knew him. So
Did you see him while he was? Did you go up to see him?
when I was younger, there was a few times that I did. Outside of that, and
Did you understand like where he was and the severity
Oh
of
yeah,
it?
yeah,
You did.
Yeah, I did, because I mean everybody around me was going through the same thing, but it's a form of a trauma that we're all internalizing, and behind closed doors when you go home and you're sitting to yourself in your bed, it's something that you're thinking of, like why me? Why am I going through this? Why that? And I think after high school, when he did come back, it was something that I really wanted to finally put out, because I never really put it on paper and really wrote out what I was feeling. So, and I got the chance to actually, it wasn't even supposed to be my internship, but my friend, shout out to G Carp, he's from Long Branch too, he's a producer engineer. He had an interview in the city with J. Chris Griffin at the time, who's like a multi-Grammy winning record producer, artist development coach. And he asked me to go up there with him. So I went up there with him. This is back in 2014, 13. I went up there, and after they had their meeting, I got to sit in the meeting with him. So he's talking to Gerard, and then he asks me like, well, what do you do? And I said, well, I'm in school for music too. He's like, where do you go? I said, UArts. He's like, oh, okay. He just happened to ask me, he was like, you got any music that I could hear? And I just happened to have that on my phone. And I remember Leora Cohen telling us when we were in
Wait, Leora
school.
Cohen, like Leora?
Yeah, I remember at UArts, I remember him like telling us like, whenever you come up to a producer or an executive, when you tell them you do music, make sure you have your music on you. Always make sure you have your music on you. So it was just one of those things. And at the time, I didn't have an iPhone. I couldn't afford an iPhone. I had a little Galaxy.
But you had something.
Had a little Samsung phone.
Don't be
So I had
disrespecting Samsung, yo.
I'm not.
You
But
got.
everybody was
I
clowning me for
forgot you.
having one.
I forgot you got a Samsung.
Everyone was
live
clowning
by-
me for
I
having,
live
because
by
I had like the old one. Like I had the old
Let me
one.
tell you.
So
Let me tell you something.
it wasn't even like a new Galaxy.
Listen, man, you got to
There-
be careful with them androids. They say
Yeah.
androids are plugged into some subversive.
I will say this.
I'm big into conspiracy theories.
I would
my
say
face.
this.
Are you big?
I think.
Are you big? Are
I
you big
think-
into? Do you believe in conspiracy theories?
I mean, I do it to some degree. It depends on what it is.
But I digress. Your story about this moment, was this a situation where someone took advantage of your position in that moment?
What happened was when he heard that song, he loved it so much.
Ooh, this guy.
Jay Chris.
Jay Chris,
yeah.
okay.
So once when he heard it, he couldn't believe how good it was.
Okay.
And this has actually had been like the first official song I ever did, like as an artist for myself. And he just offered me a job, like right on the spot.
Wait, that was the
work
first
there.
song you ever did?
Like that was the first time I ever did on my own, like
Gotcha.
without help, without someone, because I wasn't a writer at the time in high school. I wasn't writing my own lyrics. Like Party was writing everything for me, and teaching me how to write, how to produce.
Wow.
Yeah, so
And I bet you remember everything about it.
yeah,
So all right, so you play the song. He likes it. He offers you a job on the spot.
yeah.
You're happy.
Oh yeah, because I wasn't expecting that.
You're
I was
fe-
not
you're-
expecting that. It wasn't even my interview.
You're feeling yourself. Because it's the first song you ever did.
Yeah, I was.
I mean, from beginning to end.
Yeah.
So
it
what
was-
what ends up happening?
I started interning there. My mom didn't want me to, because she felt like, how was you going to get there? So I just got on my grind. I was working at the golf course, caddying, and working at Express, Aldo. I'm working part-time there, trying to figure it all together. And I'm just saving up some money. Every time I have to, go on a train to get out there, making sure I could pay that train fee. And yeah, it was a best experience of my life at that time. It was like I got to really soak in and learn a lot, and start learning how to really develop artists.
Also, you know what? I'm not gonna lie to you. This whole time I was waiting for that story to have a tragic ending because of the way you started it, and I was waiting for the other shoe to drop, and then they said, "Nah, we want to go with the other guy." So you know what? I like
They picked both of us. They were really
I was
impressed.
I was like, that's why I didn't want to. That's why I didn't want to lose
Oh,
it.
yeah.
That's why I was like, let's pick this up. Okay, so this is so it's beautiful.
Yeah,
so
me
this
and
was
Gerard was happy, man.
this was a moment that was good for you,
Yeah.
and the chrysalis of that moment, it helped you to blossom and grow like the caterpillar.
Yeah, that was the start of
Okay.
it.
I mean,
that
like the
it
butterfly.
became.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And what was the other moment?
And the other moment was
Is this a good moment or a bad moment?
bad moment. Yeah.
All
It was
right.
a breakup. I was with somebody for like 4. It was about to be the 5th year, and we had broken up.
How old
and,
were you?
22. We had been together since I was 16, 17.
You ever heard that Slick Rick song, "Teenage Love"?
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
That's
don't
what it
hurt me
was, because
again.
that wasn't even real
Teenage love.
you know. And it's funny because when you're young and in that relationship, you realize that's not what love is. You know, you're like
You realized at that age you didn't know.
I
It took me
realized-
years to realize
No,
my first
I
relationship
realized
wasn't
it
love.
After the relationship that I had after that one is when I realized, like, okay, that wasn't love.
I got you.
And then the second relationship showed me what love really is, but it showed me, clearly we didn't work out, but it showed me that I know now what I want in terms of relationship and what I want out of love.
It's almost like a great quote from a great wordsmith is, "I never realized how empty my cup was until it was filled."
Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't realize that. Like yeah. So okay. So it's one of those moments. But you got more clairvoyance than me because I when I was young and I had a breakup, I went years. I thought I was. Again, I can't use the reference because of the situation. I was gonna say I was like, remember in the beginning of the "I Need a Girl" part 1 video when he's on the bed and he's just like this, like, you know what I'm talking about?
I
Like,
know exactly what you're
for
talking
years
about.
I was like that mentally. Like I was like, nah, man, I can't go out tonight, man. Like it's just, I'm like, I can't do it.
I was
I'm
definitely
like Sheik, I can't go on. Sheik, like,
Go out tonight.
Sheik, I can't go out tonight. Like, you know what I mean? But
I was like that, and then I just resulted into just diving in, just like partying every day, drinking, getting drunk, and then I just got on my dean and just started writing music way more than I've ever written.
okay, see, it's all comes from your journey. Now, see, you see, Joyce, we just discussed your whole musical journey, and I didn't ask you the question.
That's true.
See, like look where we are. You know what I mean?
That's
Like
true.
we just covered a whole topic of your highs, your lows, and I believe like these things, for better or worse, shape your journey as a artist, but also as a human being, not as a man or woman, but as a human being. So your journey led you from triumph, and then you went to 808s and heartbreak from this girl, and we all have those, right? I mean, I don't know about the Sheik because the Sheik is an enigma to me sometimes.
No,
I'm not gonna lie. I was gonna save this for the mid-season episode, but the Sheik is an enigma to me.
Nah, I kind of feel the same way.
I've been there, but it was so long ago. It seemed like I've
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I can see
But-
that. Yeah.
And that's okay. You have to. I hate the guys that are like,
We so used to seeing you at that point where you just have so much wisdom and you've done so many boss things. That's all we
appreciate it.
know, you know. So it's like,
You know,
I've been there.
you know what I use to describe the Sheik? Venerable. Venerable is to be filled with wisdom and elicit respect. Doesn't that sum him up?
that really does.
Yeah, you know, think about that. You
That
know,
really does.
like that's the Sheik. I hope that as time goes on, you know, if the Sheik can learn from me, like I've learned from him,
That she has learned from me.
well then
It's
that's
not can.
That's deep too, though. Like anytime when like the mentor acknowledges that they're also learning from those that they mentor, like
true wisdom is knowing that you don't know everything.
yeah.
I learned something today. I
'Cause-
just said it about the
Yeah.
Oh,
the shuttle.
yeah,
I went-
Voyager 1 and 2. Yeah.
Because when I go to like colleges and they always ask me like, how often do you teach, people around you, and what have you learned? And more times than many, I'm always telling them that I learn more than I teach. And in
like
that,
that.
process, it's always me being able to give some good knowledge just through that experience of just learning from others.
Now you talking about going to college for your, like visiting colleges for your job, for your profession.
Yeah.
And your profession is you are in audience.
Yeah, so I work in
development.
audience development and I run campaigns for artists.
You're about to have me learn something from you, because if you gave me $100 right now to tell you what does audience development mean, can I take a guess at it?
Yeah, go ahead.
So to me, audience development means you're developing an audience. and what I mean by that is you're trying in that artist to find their demographic and to shape a viable target audience for that artist.
Essentially, yes.
Oh.
So some artists
That was a Luka
Yeah,
Doncic shot in the dark just now.
Nah, you definitely nailed it. So
Okay,
with,
all right,
with
cool.
some artists, they already have a fan base. So let's say if we're looking at like a major artist like a Doja Cat, what an audience development director or personnel would do is they have to really study, how her music is going to perform. As far as like
The
if she's coming up,
metrics.
the metrics. So I'm always studying metrics every single day. 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm having meetings, and I'm literally looking at the data, checking out the chart metrics to make sure that whatever music she's done in the past till now, to project what the behavior is going to be of those fans, and how to increase it. If she's doing a crossover record, how can we gauge the audience even more? So it's always a matter of trying to find ways and how we can program the audience to interact more, engage more, increase. And, it's a lot of work.
What would you say is the biggest difference between audience development and artist development?
Yeah, artist development is more on the production side, whereas you're developing the artist to have a better artistry in terms of sound, vocal ability. Like if they're a rapper, really working on their writing skills or their delivery skills, the branding. So artist development goes more into like the branding and the performance of the artist, how they perform on stage, how they perform recording as a recording artist. That's the development side of it. And also making sure that they're media trained too is part of the artist.
That's a
development.
huge thing in
Yeah.
today's day and age. Now, how
Yeah.
come you've done a lot in the industry, like behind and in
Yeah.
front of the scenes. You've written for Chris Brown. You've written for a lot of huge
Yeah.
artists. Like why? So you're in this lane.
Yeah.
You seem to have been not doing too shabby at all in the lane you were in.
Because the crazy thing about it is, and this is kind of what I learned from it, is when I got into writing music and just producing, I noticed that I was always getting introduced into newer roles, into newer things, that I was getting intel on things that were outside of production. Because I realized chasing after big placements wasn't paying me. And when I first got my first placement in 2014, and I didn't really get no check from it, I was like, okay, this is kind of
What
crazy.
was your first big placement?
The first big placement was with Omarion for Take Care mixtape,
Okay.
and I didn't get paid for that. I mean, at the time, I didn't really understand how it all works.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have an attorney. I didn't have a lawyer. I didn't know. Couldn't even afford that stuff anyway. So let's just go from there.
That's
And so, you're in the studio, you're writing all these records, and you're not getting paid for it. So people think that I'm rich at the time. And it's like, bro, I ain't really getting paid. I'm in the club with all these celebrities, but bro, I got rent due, and I can't even afford to pay my rent. I'm working 9 to 5s to cover it. Like, that's the reality that a lot of people don't know about. It happens, it happens to a lot of people. And so, with me, I realized chasing after placements where I'm like writing literally hundreds of songs just to shop, and then waiting months for them to come back to me and tell me, yeah, we're not going to go with this record, or yeah, we're going to keep it in a vote. And mind you, it takes 3 to 4 years for a song to drop. Like you go to any artist's album, those songs are like 2, 3, 4 years old.
that long.
Yeah, so it's
So
like
the songs that we're hearing from some of the biggest artists in the world
yeah,
are
and I've
years
heard
old.
them, and I can literally tell you like who did the demo, who tracked it, who cut it. Like,
You said demo. How do you feel about ghostwriting?
I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think when you're someone that, when it comes to being a rapper, or I should say an MC, You can't
It's a
have
good
a
distinction.
ghostwriter.
MC
You can't have a ghostwriter. If
and-
you're gonna call yourself an MC, you cannot have a
If
ghostwriter.
you have a ghostwriter, to me, you're not an MC.
Yeah, you're not.
What
You're a
about the
rapper.
guy?
Even if it's just in the moment.
But I understand that not
Okay, so-
everybody
so-
is a songwriter.
So
and has
to
ability
the
to be a
Sheik's point,
songwriter.
in the moment, what if somebody had a great idea for something, he uses it, it blows up. He didn't write it, but it was in the moment. It was a great idea. He's
yeah,
not.
That's why I said just in the moment, because I do believe that certain people, like, you know how people that claim they wrote songs for people, like I hear all the time people write
Oh, yeah.
music for Drake.
Oh,
But I know Drake is writing a whole lot of that stuff. So for me to say Drake is not an MC, because in my opinion he's an MC. I mean, if he's writing any of that stuff that I hear,
I could tell you this. I'll say
but
this.
wait, but hold on. But isn't it like the higher you get into, it's almost like, you know, the bigger you are as an artist, you're almost like a like a giant whale shark with all these little fish around you as you move. There's no such thing as I'm just gonna go away and be by myself for 2 months and write this album. There's people all around you at all times. And if you're a true creative, like the Sheik was saying earlier, like he just was always taking
Yeah.
creativity from everywhere. Wouldn't it be really hard to, like, if you're in the studio in creative mode and like somebody says something, if you're creative thinking caps on, just be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna use that. Like I feel like a lot of I feel like a lot of great songs might have got started like that.
I'll say
Every
this.
every artist is coming up with all these stuff by themselves.
I'll say
They've got a
this.
lot of geniuses in this game then.
Nah, well, I'll say this. It's more normal to have a team of writers. And the labels, once when you sign to a label, and this is the thing that people don't understand, because you'll say to yourself, why is it that this artist, before they blew up, they were popping? Like, I loved their music way before. But the moment they get signed, they no longer have creative control. Now they have writers coming in, writing for you. Now they have your producer that was making your beats in the basement with you. Now they got other producers that they want to, put you with. And it's really because they have not only the creative control, but the financial control of it too, because they all work for them. It's like a team thing. So if I'm your A&R and you're my artist that I just signed, I'm going to provide the writers. I'm going to provide the producers. Now I have more control over what you say, what you
I
do.
see where you're going with
and
this.
then artists get lost in that, and then they lose that sound that made them stick out, that people love. And I like that he said Drake, because the funny thing about Drake is the reason why Drake is so dominant is because he's been coached by the best writers. And by having a team of scouts that scout independent music, they go on the algorithm and they go through searches to find fresh new music, like a Quentin Miller, an artist from Houston, and they find these original dope artists and they take from them, XXX Tentacion.
I think that's very
And
smart.
So Drake can always reinvent himself by finding these new. It's kind of like you. The thing about the industry, about what these labels do
But
is.
wait, what you're saying so far, I haven't heard anything bad. That's like when I found out that Tom Brady hired a guy to come in and talk to him about the newest slang and the newest stuff because he didn't want to seem outdated. He didn't want to seem
Yeah.
like a disconnect between him and his
Exactly.
younger.
So
gen-
it's like-
I feel like that's very forward thinking. That's very strategic.
It is, but not when you're claiming you wrote a song and you literally
Okay.
rehearsed it. Like
Okay.
I've sat in studios with artists where they are literally verbatim copying what the writer did, copy and pasting the delivery. Like,
Okay, well, that's a
there's
little
been
different.
footages of him literally rehearsing it after Party just did it for him.
Yeah, they
So
they
it's
did.
like-
They did say "Take Care" was
Mike Zombie, there's
Isn't
a lot
Mike Zombie from Jersey?
Yes, and he's
And
on
Jersey
he's part
got-
of his camp too.
Yeah, Jersey's got
And
so many.
Mike writes a lot of his hits. I mean, there's a lot. I mean,
Let me ask.
my question is, does he write any of that? If you
He's
know,
gotta
a
write
lot of
some
times,
of it.
no, and he got exposed by
So how about
with
this?
Lil
When-
Yachty writing his this.
So how about this when we go back when we go back 15 years ago? Because when I was introduced to Drake, we were still at Cutter's Corner, and I've been here almost 10 years, and I was outside of Cutter's Corner almost 2 years. So we got to go back at least 13 years ago, 13 to 15 years ago when I first got introduced to Drake. Was he writing that
No, that's the
when
crazy
he
part.
first came out?
Nah, he had.
crazy.
You had.
Listen, you're saying that if let's just say 100% of Drake's catalog, what percentage would you say that he wrote?
Oh,
If it's a
he's
pie.
definitely. To me personally,
Yeah,
I think
it's
he's
opinion. It's
written-
not like
I think he's written less than 50%. Because if you look at the credits, just think about it. The Take Care album was the Weeknd songs.
Well, that's why I said, yeah, the week.
Like, think about that.
Well, if
Those
but
were
wait,
all of the Weeknd songs.
it was. But if you look at Get Rich or Die Trying, and you look at the biggest hits on there, every single one of them,
Did you look at the writing?
it's Andre. Yeah, it's Andre and Mike Elianzo, which is the guitar player, and Mark Batson, which is the keyboard player. Like I'm an old producer myself, so I read linear notes. The beats, the hook for In the Club,
And I
that
think
was supposed to
that's
be his
different,
first.
though.
That was supposed to be Dre's first
Yeah,
single.
But I think that's
But
different.
what about the rhymes?
Like when it comes to,
I could see that a lot of times producers to give you a beat with a hook.
I think when it comes to commercial music, mainstream music, like there's nothing wrong with having a writer that's going to write the hook, you know, and assist with certain things. Like, but I think when you're someone that's trying to say you're an MC and you're not writing, that's where it goes down.
That is a cardinal sin. Yes, I agree with that.
And
100%.
that's why I tell people, like, that's why I'm so frustrated with the industry, because we lost the biggest part of what hip hop really is about. The culture of it is being original, you know? Like, I've had writers, of course, in terms of writing with, you know, bigger projects. I mean, there's not a project I can't think of where it was for a big artist and it wasn't 10 other writers in the mix of that. But in terms of when it comes to me writing like verses and writing like my songs that are like mainly hip hop or R&B, like I'm always the writer. I'm always, you know, I'm not looking for like, hey, can you help me write this? You know, and there might be times where an artist might ask their engineer like, yo, which word do you think I should say? Should I say this word or this word? I think that's different than you having no originality and you're just like always needing assistance.
What's
know?
more important to you in a perfect world musically? Unlimited financial freedom or unlimited creative freedom?
Start bench cut.
Oh yeah,
See, it's
you gotta bench cut that one.
It's either
That's which one?
it's either or. A or B.
Start
A or B.
Start and cut.
Yeah, like it's blue. What's
I'ma
more
say-
like in a bubble? What's more valuable to you? Because importance and value can be different things.
The money.
So unlimited financial freedom in perfect.
And
so
I
here.
say that
baby.
because it
Hey, okay, yeah,
it's,
there's no wrong.
yeah, I
Then
say
they
that
gonna talk
because
about me and I'm gonna be like Drake. I'll be like, hey.
it's sad, man.
Oh yeah, I would definitely get a Lamborghini yacht like Conor McGregor, 100% if I had that.
I say that
That's why,
because
yeah.
it's sad because the money, once when the money gets mixed in, it really ruins a lot of like musicians' lives.
I think
It does.
I think money brings out the best or worst in you depending on the person.
Yeah. Well, what I mean is like when they, like let's say when they get into like those debts from taking those advances, those contracts, or when you sign a pub deal, like the perks of a pub deal when you're a songwriter producer is you get first dibs on every project. That's really all it is, you know. But the moment they want to shelf you and they want, you know, to have other writers coming in and other producers coming in, and you're wondering when's the next time they're going to put you on a project, that's when you got to deal with the politics in it, you know, and you don't have no financial freedom in how much you can make, you know, it's hard. So, you know, a lot of them will result in moving back in with their parents. You know, it happens a lot. You know, I've seen artists get exposed for it, and, you know, it's kind of messed up, you know. It's like the 360. I don't think a 360 deal is bad for the right artist.
Oh wow, yeah, a lot
For the right
a
artist.
lot of people would disagree with that.
No, but that's what I'm saying. For the right artist, a 360 works. For Rihanna, a 360 works. For a Drake, it works. For someone that's like a Summer Walker, it doesn't work because she has such a specific, distinct audience. She doesn't have an audience that can pull a mass the way that someone who's a pop artist like a Taylor Swift can, or The Weeknd.
Yeah, like I think I understand what you're saying. Like it could work for them because
I hate 360s
they're
for sure.
bringing in so much more money, so
Yeah.
they still get to make some money. But like when the 360 deal came out, 360 deals been around for such a long time.
Yeah, they're
it's
horrible.
like the first time I heard it, I never really ever heard it again for a really really long time. And the first artist I ever heard mention a 360 deal was Papoose, and it was in like a Source magazine. That's how long that been around. I read it in a hip hop magazine. Now think about how long ago that was.
Can someone please explain to me simply what a 360 deal
I was
is?
just about to ask the same
360
question.
deal.
Because I've heard it so many times. I feel like I've heard it
He
enough.
may know better than me, but from when I read it from Papoose, is basically when you sign a record contract,
Yeah.
they now making you say, okay, if you get a sneaker deal, if you get a movie deal, if you get a commercial deal, we're getting a percentage of that as
Yeah,
well.
even-
so it's 360 degrees of your career.
They make
like
money
everything
in
you
everything.
Do, they get in the
If you
pre-sale.
start, I've seen one where my friend, he had a contract where, and he had just did open a business with his wife, but they was entitled to that too. Like they make money off anything. If you have an estate, they're entitled to your estate.
Damn.
Yeah, so
All
360 deals
encompassing.
are horrible.
Too many rappers was getting movies.
Yeah, a 360 deal is horrible for the ideal artist.
They was
But if
getting-
you're
they was
someone
getting
that's
in movies.
Yeah, but if you're someone like a puppet type of artist,
Yeah.
you know, like you really need that machine,
Okay.
a 360 can work for them because they're not original anyway to do it on their own. But if you're like an Alicia Keys or like a Jay-Z, I mean, you don't
makes
need a
sense.
360. Yeah.
Oh, you don't need it.
You don't need a 360. I mean, the 360 is really just for them to fund you like crazy to have that machine that's going to ultimately give you the biggest push ever. But if you're like the Sheik as an artist, you're not going to take a 360 because you know you don't need it. You know you're going to make well off without it.
You believe in your.
And the sad part is when they create things, just like when they create anything, and you figure, and I said it was created for rappers. Everything starts at the street because that's where most of this music comes from,
Yeah.
right? So they created it because they're like, okay, they went in on everything. They don't want you to have nothing to yourself. So when you take a person that's coming from the bottom, you know what I mean? He's coming from the worst situation, you know, and trying to become a star. How many people do you know from the street that live in housing projects is going to say no?
Exactly.
And they know that.
They know that.
Like, it's like, all right, well, damn, if I get a movie, you want some. If I get a shoe deal, you want some. You want this. Anything I touch, and you're going to get some of it. How many people that you know that are in a deprived situation is going to say no?
And
they
that's
know
what
you're
I
not
went
going to say
through.
no.
I went through that when I was a young songwriter. People thought when I moved to LA that I was like living it up. Like, no.
You lived in LA?
I was there for 3 years. Like, and when I was out there, like, people thought I was just living on top. Like, y'all might think that on social media, but bro, I'm going through it. I'm crying. I'm calling my mom, like, telling her, like, they're robbing me. They're stealing from me. Obviously, being in Jersey wasn't enough at the time. Like, I had to really make that move to be like, yo, I got to go to LA and I really got to make some moves happen in Hollywood, you know? And as I started getting my credibility up with everybody, it just made sense to be out there more and to stay out there. So I'm, you know, obviously I'm working with big artists. I'm learning as a manager how to manage artists. And I really started to realize, dang, like, yo, being like just a musician, like the people that's behind the scenes are making way more money. So I need to learn like this aspect of it, you know? It's crazy because when I found out that artists get paid 8 cents off of $1 and they have to pay that percentage to the managers, the writers, the producers, like the attorney, like I started realizing like, whoa, like if they're only getting paid that, like this is why this is happening. And it's a grooming effect because then guys like me that start getting up there, we're feeling ourselves because we've made it out of the hazing stage. So now we're going to do it to the next intern. We're going to do it to the next people.
It's a vicious cycle.
It's a vicious cycle.
It's a weaponization of a talent that someone might have. Like,
It's true.
yeah.
I've been in a room where when we were like younger, they've told us like, hey, listen guys, we're going to teach you guys how to make a lot of money. We're going to teach you guys how to make so much money. Here's the key. Only sign mediocre artists. Don't sign a super talented artist because they'll have too much confidence in themselves where they'll believe that they don't need us. It's easier to find a mediocre artist that we can make a star than to work with someone who's already a star, who has star power. Because if we control them creatively, we can control them financially, and they'll always need us. So that was like the foundation of what I was learning. Like, you see two artists in a room, like one's an R&B singer that grew up in the church that can sing their behind off, and then the other one is they got singing lessons, but they don't really have a strong voice. They're not that good, but maybe they look better. I'm gonna say, I scratch that. I'm going with the guy that can't really sing, and the guy's gonna be like, "What the heck? Like, he can't sing for nothing. Like, I know that's my boy, but he can't sing."
Because they're
at all."
insecure.
But we're gonna choose that guy because he's easier to control. Because
And he's going to be more
that.
gracious when
And
you
I
put him
noticed
on.
that when someone's super talented and they know they're that gifted, they're a lot more sure of themselves. They have a lot more awareness. They're not going to just let you just be entitled to certain deals. They're going to be like, hold up. That's why labels started saying.
Are you saying like the confidence that goes with it?
The confidence, but also just the rebellious, the rebelliousness like behind it. It was like they weren't going to just get signed. Like, you know, even everyone knows the story of Ice Cube running into that label, into the office with a bat and threatening like, yo, give me my money, stop playing with me, you know?
Okay.
So nowadays you don't have that. You haven't had that in a while where, you know, an artist can have enough integrity in himself to say, I'm not going to allow someone to take advantage of me. It was harder to control artists back then, though, and that was the problem. Like, it was harder to control artists.
Why do you think it? I feel like it was because of technology. Nobody
Tech
had
is
social.
one
There was no
element to
social
it.
media.
I 100% agree with you on that.
Yeah, social media is one aspect of it,
Look how wild some of these artists were back in the day.
but
Imagine if like Freddie Mercury was on social media.
yeah, I think it's also though because like
Richard Pryor
the
was on social media.
experiences that they have versus our experiences.
I
Like,
agree with that.
Okay.
it really comes down to that. Like his era, it wasn't. They weren't easy to control. A lot of times, it's just the idea of I'm going to control you, and you're going to be gracious that you're getting fame and I'm getting money. Louis Armstrong and them might have been okay with that because back then they were dealing with bigger problems like slavery. Not slavery,
not
but like
slavery, but
post-slavery,
the Jim Crow
Crow.
South.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah,
meant to say. Like
okay.
the Jim Crow stuff.
Okay, Jim Crow South.
The
Okay.
science is the era that you're speaking on was the era in the generation where fear was lacked. That's it in a nutshell.
Exactly.
There was a lack of fear.
There was a lack
Straight
of fear.
like that.
And
From music to sports to activism,
Muhammad Ali,
any
yeah.
place you want to go down that line, there was a lack of fear.
But here's the difference too, though. Like his generation and like that generation of like Martin Luther King, they were younger and much more intelligent too. Like when it came to, you know, social issues and like being,
Well, they didn't have video games.
revolutionary. Like
They didn't have video games and
but
technology
that's what I'm
to dilute
saying.
their.
So this the younger, that's why labels, they want a rapper who's 16 and dumb in the head and high off of his, because it's an easier person to control than someone who's from his era that's like, yo, being a dope head is a bad thing. Like this younger
Doing
generation,
drugs,
they
yeah.
think it's cool. They think it's great. They think it's good to be high out of their mind. His era, it was like, yo, that ain't it, bro. Like
You're absolutely
being-
right. Let me
you know?
let me ask you this: you're saying you're giving a lot of game away in your current profession. Are you worried that the Illuminati is gonna snatch your snatch your career out from under you? Because you're giving a lot of like. What exactly do you do right now?
I'm out of that.
What
like,
exactly is your capacity right now?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just the guy behind the desk, and you know, I work.
like that
saying
answer.
all that.
I like that answer.
You because at this point, 18 paragraphs. Well, because I'll say this though, because
18
you know, like in a way, I was really like, because in a way, I was shadow banned.
Yeah.
Because I asked too many questions, which is why I left LA. Like when I was dealing with guys at the labels, I was asking too many questions. And it was pissing them off. And then I started realizing what it really is. When I started seeing the paperwork that they have on artists and how they go about making their money, it was like a disgusting thing to see. And then once when that new age of like social media became a thing where now they're signing influencers over artists, that took a whole other turn. Like it was just so many different things.
That's why
You
you
know?
started with your integrity and it led you to your purpose on your
Yeah.
start bench cut.
And I stopped caring. Like I was getting invited to work on the Fast Furious movie. Like I had a lot of big projects that I was getting because I was part of that brotherhood of, okay, he's in now. He's part of the team now. Now we're going to
Were you
start
invited
putting
to a
him
Diddy party?
I've been to some I've been to some parties, and I'm not gonna lie. There's nothing that is far fetched from auto that like it's
I was half joking and half serious.
Yeah,
You prompted it
like-
by saying I was in that brotherhood.
Like-
So, you know what? As talented as you are in all your credits, can I venture a guess to say that like your experience in the music industry kind of drove you away from your God-given talent of performing, and kind of like if you had it your way, you'd still perform and like, but this is what would I be far off by saying
because I'm like
Yeah, I kinda get
look
that
at artists
from-
like I look at guys like Ryan Leslie, Eric Roberson. Like before I got in, and I was young trying to chase this whole idea that's not even real. That was all I wanted. And then when I got in it, I realized, oh, these dudes is weird. They weird as heck. Like I started realizing.
For you, it's like
I don't
once
care
you
for it.
once you found out what really goes on in the industry, it
Yeah.
kind of robbed you
I
of your
didn't-
zest for your
I was-
God-given talent.
I was angry about it for a few years. I'd say up until like 2019, I was really angry. But I got over it, and I realized that even now I'm happy. This is the best time I've ever felt about music because the industry is crashing. Like labels are closing down. They're getting sold to these Silicon Valley companies. They're downsizing departments in all the labels. The music industry's literally became obsolete. Like it's gone. Now it's all about community. So I'm teaching the college students, all you need now is content, a team, and your own fans. It doesn't even matter if you have hundreds of fans or millions of fans. Like it's all about community based now. This is the best era now to be independent. We're going back to where you have to really have an organic fan base, where you have to really get out and perform at clubs, venues. Like it doesn't even matter now about being signed as an artist. Like they know that they're dying out. So for all the artists, all the independent artists that aren't aware of what publishing is, and they're not making sure that they own their publishing, labels are making that money. So even though you're not signed to Universal, Universal's making money off of you because you're not accounting for your publishing. So they're just finding new ways, like when you go on Instagram and you're posting your content, Atlantic Records or whoever else might try to claim it as their original works
Wow.
to monetize it.
You know what's crazy? I'm gonna send this to both y'all. Somebody sent me something today. Like, you know how people send you DM you something, and it's this woman, and she's talking about how all right, so I don't really remember exactly what it is. Was it Samsung or was it no? It was Meta, and she was
Saw
speaking.
this.
I sent that to you,
Yes,
right?
you sent it to me.
And she was speaking about how they came up with this new thing where they're going to be able to use, you know, the things that you post and your imagery for themselves for an AI platform. And there's a way that you can disagree to it, but when you see all the stuff you got to go through, you got to press this, go through that, go through these terms, scroll to the bottom, and you can cancel yourself out of that crap, bro.
They're making money.
Did you
off
cancel
of the
some out of
data.
it?
No, because I had to get here.
That's why.
That's
why
why
labels-
I started it.
and
I
that's
started it.
why-
I went through the whole thing, and then you got to fill out
now
something.
they
But
don't
when I
care
saw
about
it,
the
that's
music.
crazy.
Yeah, they
That
don't
is-
care about the music.
It's
now,
like that's like the Matrix. Wow.
I'll
We're living
say
in it.
2017 was the spark of it, where they started realizing. So labels realize we have to start signing these influencers that are making crazy money on YouTube, like on Twitter, on Twitch, and all these different like social media platforms. So that becomes the new way for them to make money, is what they can monetize. So now they don't want to sign you as an artist if you're not popping on TikTok. And because of that, it's become so oversaturated to the point where it's crashed. And they see independent artists are now doing the same thing that they're doing. Like, no one knew at the time that you could just buy your way into getting on Billboard charts. No one knows that, though. It's paid advertisement. There's paid advertisement.
So if I made a
it's not
song,
paid.
we could get on it.
Literally. I'm not even, like, joking. Like, it's that easy.
Out of all these misconceptions that you've kind of pulled the curtain back on, like, what would you say is the biggest misconception of all about this fantasy world Oz, aka the music industry?
I would say this. I think the biggest takeaway is just people are finally realizing what it really is and what it really takes to be in this business. Like it's all a facade. It's entertainment. When they say things are like it's entertainment, it literally is entertainment. It's all for show. Like when I was living in LA and I seen big artists that were literally walking into jewelry stores and asking the jeweler, can they borrow the chain just to do a little quick 15-second video on Instagram? I'm thinking like, this is crazy. And I'm seeing them driving Kias instead of driving Rolls Royces, but they're just renting that for the paparazzi, or they're calling paparazzi to meet them at spots. Like, it's not like, nothing's organic. It's literally all driven to manipulate, to create this facade so that they can build the fan base.
They used to do that on Cribs. You don't remember that? They would on Cribs. Yeah, they would come in and bring in rented cars.
You know what they did say? That Lil Bow Wow's house wasn't Lil Bow Wow's house.
They would have like 15
Only
cars.
person that had a real house on there was Redman.
Yo,
Redman. I was gonna say that.
And his doorbell.
And that's why I respect Redman.
Yes.
And that's the cool thing.
Okay,
You
so
can
that's
tell, like, that's the cool thing about now is it's
The
so
Redman
in your
de
face
la
now. You can
Casa.
tell what artist is faking the funk and what artist isn't. And you could tell when they're being supported by the machine and when they're not being supported by the
He said
machine.
faking the funk, and you know that's Funk Dr. Spot.
Yeah.
Redman.
Funk Dr. Spot.
For real. Like, it's crazy, bro.
The majority of them are all like artists or.
My
And I like
beer
this.
was-
I work
my
from
favorite beer
home.
was
I
Beck's
don't
'cause of
mind it.
Redman.
Are you
Yeah.
serious?
That's my favorite beer, and it was because
Because of Redman?
And the funny
It
thing is
inspires
this
you.
too. I'll say this is like the biggest misconception. I've realized we think that like we need like these big people for clout. Like they really need us. They'll present it as, well, if it wasn't for us, you wouldn't get exposure. But the reality is, we make you relevant. You need us. We're your machine. Like, so it's really they need us. And once when I got that logic down, I started realizing like I don't really need to be here. Like 2019, I left LA, came back to Jersey, and I've been happy ever since.
You happy
bro.
now? So you
I
prioritize.
still deal with politics. Like when he was saying how he got his song
Yeah.
taken, I was dealing with that. I ain't gonna say the artist, but he recently
Never want to say the
performed.
artist, right?
Recently had its tour. I still love him as an artist, but personally, like just doesn't like to pay people and all that.
But you're happier now, though.
Yeah, I'm happier now, but I still deal with industry like BS. Like I still deal with it. Like
But you know-
everyone still
I think it's important that you prioritize your emotional and your mental health over anything else. I think that that's the most important thing.
yeah, nah,
Okay,
it's
so,
true.
So check this out, though. Now, Mr. Ransom, I would like to ask him a question. You know, because I know this young man because he's from the city. I know his mother and I know his father. But I got to learn a lot about you by looking at your page when I found out that you were going to be our guest. And I seen that you did a lot of modeling work. I was like, that's fire. Like, I was checking out some of the pictures, some of the videos. I was like, damn, he's killing that. So is that what you do now? Or is
Yeah.
that like a past thing? Do you really like it? Do you love it?
I say
Because I
this.
was looking at it, I was like,
Yeah,
that's fire.
the modeling is cool because you just get to go in and do your own thing. Like I still do it, and
But isn't that a rough business too?
it's a rough business, but I ain't in as much politics. Like I'm out the way. I just go to a casting, do a little casting. If I get picked, I
Modeling
get
seems
picked.
like something that you could do more per se, and I don't know this. It just looks that way to me from the outside, that you can kind of do as a hobbyist, and you can have more fun with it versus
Yeah.
being into music.
It's true, yeah, and because there's levels to it. Like if you're a model who's chasing the being in the top ranks of like the elite,
Sure.
because the elite is the elite. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. They're all friends.
And that's
So-
elite is probably a vicious game.
Yeah, but you could be a model that's making great money, or you could be an actor that's making great money and not be in that world and just do your own thing. So with modeling, I found a lot of peace in modeling. That was like my way of like making extra money. I figured I always wanted to do it. Let me just get into it. So I started doing it.
Listen, that joint when y'all look like y'all was coming down those mansion stairs.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you had that mask on. I need that.
Yo, I got you. Yeah, that was fun.
I need
yeah,
that
was
mask. You feel me?
Yeah.
You being a singer, and I'm on a podcast. What advice could you give me about becoming more comfortable? Because I'm on a journey of finding my own voice as a podcaster and a platform creator, and you've been doing it for years.
I think that's the key, is just doing it. I ain't gonna lie. As cliche as it sounds, it's really just about doing it, like, and doing it consistently. It really once it becomes natural to you, you forget about you forget about being technical and trying to brainstorm how you're going to go about it this time. Like, you don't even think about it anymore. But once you've done it routinely, you start to find your groove, and it just becomes natural to you, and you have your own style with it too, because you are who you are.
I don't know. Like, I've always had that self-consciousness, you know, and like being in this situation, like I have the confidence, but I don't have the deep level of assuredness that I feel like I need.
I never had it.
Listen,
You
don't
never had it?
Stop looking for comfort and
I
just
didn't
step
drop my
out.
first
That's
album
all it
until
is.
2019. I didn't drop my first album. I never had it. I was always insecure about like being an artist and how to go about it. And now when I go and perform, like I have a great time when I do it. I'm not as nervous as before when I'm like, oh damn, like my stomach's starting to hurt. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Should I walk around the stage? Should I? It just
Don't
comes.
think about being judged.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
You're
to
right.
me. That's your number one thing that I think.
You're fit.
I think
You're 100%.
You're thinking about being judged.
You're 100% correct.
And you got to remember this. I don't care what you say or do. Somebody's going to. That's
That's another
that's
thing.
part of this.
We
Wow,
actually
yeah,
teach
you're right.
artists that.
No,
You're
there's-
absolutely right.
Yeah.
No way. You're gonna
You're
be
right.
judged off of what you're doing now.
You know what? It's
So you might as well just be you.
it's just me being transparent. And you know what? I appreciate, but you know, I want to say this to you. So I appreciate you.
No, I appreciate you for
Yeah,
saying that.
I really appreciate you for being the human being that you are, Choice.
No, thank
We
you.
need a button that I can press whenever I say that's fire.
Yo,
like
for
Funk
real.
Master Flex, bro. Like when I hear something, and that's fire.
It's
I
true.
need- I
You know,
need a
you know
button,
what's
man.
hard though?
Can I give
Like
you a button?
when we have artists that
Like the new Joe Biden.
yeah, for
That's
real.
fire.
We have artists that'll come
Like
in
a flamethrower.
That's fire.
and like when the artists come in, they'll tell us they're like, oh my God, people are saying this about me, and they'll be like really going through it, and we have to like coach them mentally how to ignore it and not care about who's saying what. Oh, you sound like they're trying to sound like this artist. Oh, you sound terrible. Oh, you need to stop being an artist. Like they'll deal with some of the most wild, vicious comments, and even now it's way worse with the bots and the trolling. It's crazier. So that's another part of the artist development is really like getting the artists to understand that nothing's more relevant than those people that love your music.
Man, you know what I do? I erase it and keep it moving. Like
Yep.
people gonna always have something to say that
Can't please everybody.
It is impossible to avoid, especially when you're on social media. We're talking about the whole world can see you. Imagine you doing anything and nobody having anything to say. Do you know who that would make you?
Like you didn't say anything at all because somebody's always gonna have something to say, right?
You feel me?
Yeah.
They spit
you're right, no.
at Jesus.
I'll tell you something crazy that happened to me.
That's a fact.
So, a couple weeks ago, you know, at the Rafah situation that happened with the bombing, I reposted, you know, all eyes on Rafah. Now, a lot of people didn't appreciate the repost, but for me, it was more so to just like acknowledge that there are children, you know, that are losing their lives. So, after that, I had some people get on live and, you know, they were saying things about me that I couldn't even believe they would even say half of those things, like calling me the N-word, calling me a cotton picker, like saying, oh, you're a traitor. How could you this? How could you that? And
That's crazy.
and I try to really, you know, really get them to understand, like, listen, like, it doesn't matter what color a person is, what background they are, like, people are people, you know, and you got kids dying, that's never right, you know, and they didn't care. They didn't even, they was just like, I'm just worried about the hostages. That's all they took from that. So I left the live. Mind you, my live was about Brazilian music because I'm working on Brazilian music with some Brazilian artists. So it wasn't even about that, but they wanted to bring that topic up. And so, you know, I had got a text message saying, hey, the director and I, we want to have a meeting with you in regards to things that you have said that may be seen as anti-Semitic. We got on call, and the director was like, well, let me just get an understanding of what was said because I'm hearing that you said this, and some kids saw it. And I just said, listen, all I did was repost, you know, how I felt I didn't add any context to it. But if you want to know personally, this is how I felt. It doesn't matter what race, what people, what religion. It doesn't matter, And even though they were intelligent enough as a man, I can appreciate that he was willing to have that conversation and not make assumptions. He took my word for it as a man and moved it forward. We were good. I got to keep my position. Everything was fine. But those other people, they might not feel the same way. They might still have that hatred.
Choice, again, thank you for your presence.
Thank you. Appreciate y'all for real.
Yeah, I hope you enjoyed the conversation half as much as we enjoyed it having it with you.
Have fun. We gotta do this again. We gotta do an episode 2 for real.
Okay,
This is
all right.
crazy.
Yeah, we would very much enjoy having you back, and thank you. We appreciate you. How do the people find you on social media?
You can find me on Instagram. Choice Sincere is choice with a Y, not an I. Sincere with a C, not an S. And yep.
Until next time, Sheik, what happened to peace?
Peace, 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 peace.
This program is brought to you by the good folks at What's the Movement, LLC.